You're listening to Unity Online Radio, the voice of an awakening world. Thank you for tuning in for this Unity Partner Program. Unity Online Radio partners with spiritual leaders from organizations whose mission and messages complement Unity's. We are pleased to bring you this program on Unity Online Radio, the voice of an awakening world.
Welcome to Living on Purpose with psychology doctoral candidate Jessie Herriott from Atlanta, Georgia. Are you ready to make the switch? A switch from barely living to living on purpose. During the next hour, you will discover principles to help you live a fully functioning, conscious, and purposeful life. The all is mind, and so are you. Let's live on purpose. Now, here's your host, Jessie Herriott.
Thank you again, folks, for joining us for another episode of Living on Purpose with Unity Online Radio, the voice for an awakening world. My name is Jessie Herriott, and I'm so happy and elated that you've decided to join me in this process. My background is in psychology, for those that don't know, if you listen to the intro, and most of psychology deals with pathology. They're always trying to diagnose, with something that's wrong, instead of trying to figure out, the part of you that does work and the part of you that is individuated and the part of you that is whole. And my whole goal is to help us get connected with that center, with that divine spark, and live from that viewpoint and complete what Carl Jung talked about. He talked about the individuation process, just integrating all of these various aspects of ourselves. And from that viewpoint, that's how we make the step toward wholeness. Psychology also talks about living on autopilot and how that has become the rule of thumb these days. But in my work and in my field, I really feel that by engaging life and by coming out of that zone that we often fall in from time to time, it's really the best way to live. You really can't co-create the world that you want to live in your way by remaining in an autopilot zone. So by engaging life fully, the things about your life that you like, the poles that you lean on, the parts of your life that you don't like, engaging your life completely by taking all of that and molding it and shaping it in the way that you want it to be. This is what we're talking about in the show, and I'm excited that you've joined me. This has been a process for me, folks, and so I'm happy that you've joined me. I've seen my own personal life take a complete transformation, even in my line of thinking and my line of work, and with the show as well. The show is taking on a transformation. We've had some amazing guests starting out, and we span the worlds of theology, and we jumped into a bit of psychology, and we have guests from all over the place. But this next guest is someone who's also a trailblazer in this field, who's helping to pull all of these great teachers together and pull all of this information together for us into a stream so that we can all go and tap into that stream and get nourished and fed. I'm talking about none other than the wonderful Lelu Mace. And to tell you a bit about Lelu Mace, I discovered her work a couple years ago. When and for those of you that listen in, you guys, I know you definitely understand when you go and you get your whatever you do on your Sunday morning, whether you go to a mosque or you go to a Jewish synagogue or whatever your spiritual practice may be. But there are times when in the middle of the week where you need that nourishment, or where you're just going through something and you need that pick-me-up. And people like Lelu Mace and myself and my colleagues that are on this network and others all over the place, they're providing important content that puts those resources together in one place to help us find it. And I love the work that she's doing. She is an international video blogger. She's been doing it since 2005. Back then, she had 12 million video views, and now I'm told that she's leaning towards 16 million video views. She's the co-founder of a global internet community, and projects like the 100-Day Reality Challenge and www.cocreatingourreality.com. I'm talking about Miss Lelu Mace. Lelu, are you on the line?
Yes, hello. How are you?
Good. How are you? Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited too. And I am really happy because I know that you are busy because when I emailed you originally, you were in the middle of your Juicy Living tour.
Yeah, I'm traveling from one country to the next, interviewing people that I find inspiring, and I travel from one country all the time. I just love sharing all those good news around the world. There is not only the crisis, but there's wonderful miracles happening every day too.
Right, exactly, and that's what I love. And like I was talking earlier, I love the fact that when you're looking for information, if you can find it in one stream where it's like all of these teachers are gathered together in one space, you can just stay from that, and you don't have to bounce all over the place and all over the internet. Although that's good too, but just finding a wealth of information, from a diverse amount of sources, just all in one place, it makes it easier. When you're trying to get that. What you need to kind of help you along your path, in the middle of the week when things get hard or when something hits you, you can type in your web address or type in the online radio and find something inspirational and get what you need to keep going,
Yeah, and that's the beauty of the internet too. That's why more and more people are switching to the internet versus television, because you can just, whatever you're looking for, you can pretty much find it.
Mm-hmm.
And whether it's me or you or whoever, there's a lot of people doing wonderful things, and there's a lot of great news that should be more shared by the big networks.
Yes. So let's backtrack a bit. For those that are just becoming aware of your work, tell us a bit about yourself and how you got started.
Well, I started as a video blogger on YouTube. I started posting pretty much what was going on in my life because I founded something called the 100-Day Reality Challenge. So I was blogging pretty much every week about what was happening for 100 days in my life after setting some intentions and goals. Mm-hmm. And then people started listening to that, so I was really surprised. And then I started posting all kind of things back in 2006 on YouTube when it got started. It was bought by Google, so more and more people were tuning in. And then at some point I thought, I just want to interview people, and I'm blessed to meet some wonderful people in seminars and have a great network, and I'm just going to share that so that other people that don't have this chance can see it. So I started posting for free interviews, and I haven't stopped really since.
What motivated you to get started in this type of work? What were you doing before, and then how did you make your transition into this phase?
Yeah, I did a business study back in Europe. I'm French. I studied in England and in France. And I had dual citizenship because I was born in California from French parents, but I couldn't find a job in the U.S., in France, sorry. So I moved to the U.S. and moved to Florida and did my first personal development seminar in Florida in 2000 after graduating. I'm 35 now, so that you have an idea. I'm going to be 35 in August, not yet.
Okay.
And so I started about 12, 13 years ago in this, and just one thing led to the next. You know how it is.
Yeah, I know. I know. But
and life unfolds, and what was your original question? Sorry, now I got off track. I got excited.
No, you're right on track. I was asking you what motivated you to get started in this work, and how did you make that transition from the corporate world into the field you're in now?
Yeah, and that's a very important question because a lot of people want to make that transition, and a lot of people love discovering about themselves, living on purpose. They love life, but they don't see how they can live this every day. And so I started just doing both work. I really I was working as an internet marketer. I was working, creating logos and websites and really working in online marketing for the travel industry because I always loved to travel. And at some point, since 2005, I was blogging, and then I stopped working for myself and worked for this company over in London in 2008, and then I lost my job. I got fired. And then that's when I wrote my book, I Lost My Job and I Liked It, because that was my opportunity to do it full time. Meaning interviewing full time and doing all of this, because I never had the guts before. So for 3-4 years I was continuing to blog and interview people, but just in the evening or on weekends and for fun. And I'm still doing it for fun, but it's just now I don't have to do this, I must do this job because this is what's going to pay the bill. I don't see life anymore the same way since I lost my job.
And, that's the beautiful thing about life. Two things that I've realized since doing this show, and it's almost like it made me put my spirituality where my mouth is, so to speak. And it's like, number one, the answers kind of sort of show up exactly when you need them, and they don't always show up before. It's like right then and there you make one step, and then the next step unfolds as you make, that step. And then secondly, it's this process of unfolding, whether you call it good or bad, it all does. When they talk about it in all the spiritual traditions, it all does seem to work together for your good. Whether it's a loss, like you get fired, like you say, or you're having trouble trying to decide what career field you want to be in. That whole process, all of it works together for your own individuation and unfoldment.
Yeah. Well, the main thing here is really seeing that the universe is a friendly one.
Yes.
I think it comes down to that, because then if you know that whatever is happening, whether it looks good or bad, really it's for the best, then you see the good in everything. And that's essential, I think, especially in these times where there's a lot of change. That's why I called my first book I Lost My Job and I Liked It, and the second one I Had No Money and I Liked It, because in all of those there's some wonderful things that happen. And of course there's been a lot of stress and a lot of questioning and things that came up, things that I tried to push away and not look at. But this is the gift. This is so priceless. Because then our whole life can open up. And if we don't decide to take it in that way, then unfortunately, if it's just a Band-Aid, then it'll come back in a bigger way.
Right. Carl Jung calls it your shadow. You just kind of suppress it, and then it just pops out on you. So, to back up to what you said, it's kind of sort of like, you set an intention earlier, you had a deep desire about possibly doing this full time, and then a situation happened and it kind of sort of pressed you into, it per se, like you got fired. When you wrote that book, what were some of the lessons that you learned? What are some of the nuggets found in that book for those of us who want to read it?
Yeah, when I lost my job, I wrote it, I actually dictated. I had my iPhone and I was, from the moment I got fired, I was dictating, I was just speaking what was going on in my head and the feeling and how to shift. And the main thing, of course, when you lose your job or have no more money or just a terrible, event happens in our life, we just panic and the fear goes up, and we don't make most of the time the right decision in those moments. So the main thing in that book is that I describe in those moments all the tools to shift that energy around, and mainly the main thing for me was gratitude. Looking for gratitude, finding gratitude in whatever was coming, and even kind of blessing the moments. And whatever those events look like, because unfortunately sometimes one of those sad events come with another, and then here we are in this bad loop, and there is just no hope, no light. It's just feels so dark, and I remember just seeing myself on my knees praying, and I'm not a person that prays very often. Now I actually have most of the time conversations with the universe and co-create all the time, but back then I was just so desperate, and I was like, please, why is this happening right now? What have I done to deserve this? I mean, why me? And I think most of us ask ourselves those questions, And little by little, I really saw, and it's very visible throughout the two books, that what was really missing is that I wasn't, it was always something outside of me that I was looking for. It was never, I wasn't nurturing and giving gratitude and thanks and love to myself. Mm-hmm. And I was always searching for another person, another situation, somebody that will help, somebody that will save, etc. But never really digging inside to see the gold inside. And now that's my main message, because I see how beautiful we are, but I wasn't able to see it before. And so I'm so grateful to having gone through this whole process. To see it now and to see it in everybody, because once we see it in ourselves, it's everywhere. And then abundance is present all the time. But we need to shift our way of seeing things. This is no longer possible to live in such a limited way. So it's an opportunity to grow and an opportunity for mankind, I think, to evolve. And that's what my interviews are about. I think this is what yours is about, and that's why all this information is going out right now in the world, so that we can help each other.
Right. I totally agree with what you're saying, because one of the things that I definitely have to say is that what that does, that whole process you described, it puts like solid shoes, so to speak, on spirituality and spiritual practice, and it really does show that, number one, it is real. You know, there are a lot of newcomers who embrace, an expanded awareness, and what it is, this expanded awareness it's not an scapegoat. It doesn't get you out of your life, but what it does is it gives you the tools so that you can engage life properly. And I love what you were saying, and these are real issues, because, just because a person has an expanded awareness, it doesn't mean that they don't encounter some of the same things. What happens is that expanded awareness, it kind of sort of bridges the gap of time so that you don't have to stay there struggling like that, for an extended amount of time. You know what to do in order to get through that process, to navigate through those murky waters, so to speak.
Yeah, and then there might be something else that we're just like, it's so big that, oh my goodness, I can't get out of this. I thought I already knew how to, and now it's a problem. So we never know. It creates this humbleness towards life, and this gratitude to be alive and grateful for what we have, even as little it seems that we have, or how much. It's just this really being present and looking at life like, wow, and thanking life for just being here and being able to experiment everything that there is to experiment. And that multiplies the sense of gratitude and love and connectiveness to all that is, and this humbleness just creates more of the good stuff. And for the people that are skeptic and are like, yeah, right, this is positivism and it's looking through glasses, pink glasses. It's actually the opposite. It's really being so deeply anchored and in touch with life that you see the bad stuff too, but you just don't let it sink in, and we can shift things, we can transmute it, we can co-create. We're not just there at the mercy or as victims. It's a magnificent journey to embark on, and far from being one where it's all about the fairies and the rainbows and the stars. That's not what this is all about. But it's recognizing that magic exists. It's recognizing that we're divine. It's recognizing that we're capable of self-healing, of amazing miracles every day. We just haven't been given all those tools. We haven't been raised this way. We've been hurt in the past. We've been diminished. We're not. We're much bigger than what we have been told, and not from an ego standpoint, but from just an infinite, all that is standpoint.
I understand completely what you're saying. Folks, we have to take a quick commercial break. I'm Jesse here, having a wonderful conversation with the amazing Lelu Mace. We'll be right back after this commercial break. Stay tuned.
Unity Online Radio is affiliated with Unity, a nonprofit organization specializing in prayer, publishing, and spiritual education. If you enjoy our programming and would like to support this ministry, go to www.unity.fm and click on Donate Now to make a contribution. You can make a one-time or recurring monthly donation. Thank you.
If you've ever wondered how a specific Bible verse might be interpreted metaphysically, then Interpret This is for you. In Interpret This, Unity Minister Reverend Ed Townley answers your questions about the Bible and how to apply its verses to your life with passion, depth, and spiritual insight. To submit a question or to enjoy any of his numerous metaphysical interpretations, visit unity.org and click on the Interpret This box.
Unity Online Radio is turning 5 this year, and we're throwing the biggest bash of all. A cruise to the Caribbean, November 10th through 17th, 2012. We'll celebrate in style aboard Holland America Line's Eurodam, with sunshine, fine dining, and a selection of island excursions at beautiful ports of call in the Eastern Caribbean. Plus, feed your spirit with music, message, and meditation. Your favorite host will be there, and we hope you join us too as we celebrate 5 years of spiritual programming at Unity Online Radio. For more information, go to www.unity.fm/cruise.
You've been listening to Living on Purpose with Jesse Herriott. If you have a question or comment about today's broadcast, or if you'd like to join in the discussion, friend us on Facebook at Jesse Herriott or email us at livingonpurpose@unity.fm. Now, more Living on Purpose.
All right, and we're back. I'm Jesse Herriott today. We're in our second segment, having a wonderful conversation with Lelu Mace. And just to kind of throw that out there, if you guys would like to support this program, this individual broadcast, you can log on to www.jesseherriott.com and click on donate. All proceeds will be donated to Unity Online Radio to help keep this individual broadcast on the air and with the station. But Lelu, let's get back. You were dropping some nuggets on us, some heavy stuff. We were really talking about, to kind of condense it, what real prosperity and what real abundance is. And I was saying off air, if we have the type of mindset you were describing with gratitude and love and appreciation, it will prevent us from engaging the world the way I'll call them hard-headed adults do, by getting involved in excessive materiality, because these type of decisions, those are the decisions that delay you from doing what you love, because now you have to have all these obligations and you have to do stuff you hate, and it takes away from your time with your passion,
Yeah, it takes our juice away.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, it sucks us up, because then it becomes an obligation, and then we're dependent on something, and there is no more freedom. The creativity reduces, the stress increases, and then it's like a rat race.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, are we really supposed to live this way? And I was living this way, and I know millions of people are living this way. And for a lot of people, they say, yeah, right, but that's the only way. I mean, how can I live my purpose? I don't have the money. This is impossible. You were lucky. Or there's all kind of excuses. When money is not really the real issue. There is something else to look at. There's something else that is blocking this abundance, and that is blocking the creativity and the guts to do it and really have the courage to live one's dream. But a real authentic dream, I'm not talking of one that the media has put on us, the big TVs and the magazines and the actors and the celebrities. I'm talking of the real dream, the real you. We don't even know who we are. We don't. We think we do. We don't. We live a dream that other publicity and advertisers have imposed on us.
Mm-hmm. And they are really good at it. They are definitely psychologists. for you, what helped you to get in touch with, because I want to get into the heart of your work, what helped you to get in touch with what it is that you wanted to do, your contribution, how you wanted to open yourself and let the universe move through you? What helped you to get to that point? Because there are some listening probably, and right now they're having thoughts in their mind about, okay, that sounds good, but I'm still trying to find mine. What helped you to get to the stage that you're at?
It was I felt really, really good doing it. And it's not something I felt I was particularly good at, but I knew there was a certain certainty, there was a knowing, it felt good, I was curious about it, there was something very just natural and flowing, and it was an aspect in my life where I didn't need to know the end result of it. Just one step at a time was enough. It felt good. I didn't want to overwhelm myself with the full picture, and it was one thing. It came to me also because what started it is founding the 100-Day Challenge, the community. It was a free community with 2 author friends that we decided to start in 2005. That for anybody that would want to put in place all the things that we learn in different seminars, or put all those practice in place in our lives for 100 days. And so by blogging, then things evolved from there, but it took some time. Right. And from blogging started my interviews, and from interviews started interviews on Skype, and then from there, then the Juicy Living tour throughout the U.S. all last year. And then I thought, I want to work for Oprah Winfrey because she's my inspiration, and I was so many times disappointed, and I did so many things around that to make it happen, and then I had to let go of that because that was another limitation. Right. And always letting go of those expectations, of the limitation of how it should look like, and just focusing on what makes us happy. Because the more we do things with love, and the more we appreciate every single moment of the day, then the more of those things are going to come to us, and the more then there is some magical synchronicities that happen because we're present and we see them. So it doesn't really matter what it is, and it doesn't matter how big or small it looks. It's really just this vibration that you want to look for. Of service, of unconditional service, because the day that I've recognized that even if I would be homeless, no money, I would still find a way to upload those videos on YouTube and share juicy things happening in life and juicy conversation, then I knew that I was onto something. That was my thing. And it would not be attached to fame or, when I say there's 16 million views that I have on YouTube. For me, it's not, oh my goodness, 16 million views. I don't really see it as big. I see it as just a number telling me how many people are being inspired in what I'm doing. It's not from an ego standpoint. Right. And we have to do things from the heart now. Because there's so much wisdom there. There's so much just infinite information too that we can access. We don't even know where it's coming from, and our intuition is increased. And I know for some people, when you're in the darkness or just in the shadow or just don't know or have a very materialistic standpoint or intellectual viewpoint of life, it's very hard to get this. It's nearly impossible until when you're really ready and then you really hear what I'm saying. Right. Otherwise, you're going to hear it from a critical point of view, and then it's not going to go through, unfortunately. Right. So we have to let the guards down and be willing to observe life just as it is, as much as possible, and even our emotions and our fear and our sadness, and just continue to give love and thanks for life and to ourselves, and really nurture ourselves.
Right, and I totally agree with that. You said so many things in your response. The first thing that I really got from that, and listeners, it's like when you were discovering your passion, you started out with an intention, and then your intention became a deep desire. And then from that deep desire, you kind of you took one step and started doing something that was kind of following the flow of that desire, and all of these great feelings came, and you couple that with appreciation and abundance, and it's sort of like a process of unfolding from there. Some people, they get this whopping idea all at once, and that's great, but with others, it's not like that. It's bit by bit, it's a small piece. I know with my own journey, with this aspect, it kind of started out in a similar fashion. I started with online writing, and I didn't even think that I could publish anywhere, and then I started seeing my wife, get accepted with magazines, and it kind of sort of expanded my awareness, like, okay, then I can do this. And I submitted something, and lo and behold, a magazine accepted. And then I said, okay, and I started writing more, and then I submitted a pitch, and, the station loved it. And it blew my mind away, because I had a deep desire, and I had an intention about something that I wanted to do, but there was a part of me that didn't quite believe that I could do it. And then when the possibility came, the opportunity came, it blew my mind, and so to look back on my journey, it started with an intention and then a deep desire, and then I took one step towards my goal. And with appreciation, love, and gratitude, I just stayed in there. I stayed in that zone, and that made way for something else, and it was just a process of unfoldment, and it took time. And the last lesson that I got from what you said is that expectations, and I was having a conversation with someone this weekend, a friend, and it's very true. Sometimes our expectations, put that pressure on us, and it kind of sort of messes things up, because those expectations will get in the way. I know you said, you had the expectations about Oprah. I had expectations as well, for things that I wanted to do. And what I started to notice was that those expectations were not met, and it made me feel like I had failed in some area. But then I realized that the problem wasn't so much, what I was doing. It was just my approach, and it was these expectations that I had set up, because they can really block our ability to see, what work is doing, how it's blessing other folks, like how yours is.
Yeah, and usually we're not really authentic either, or how do we say? We don't set intentions that are either possible or realistic, or
right.
Like sometimes we try to prove ourselves that we're not good enough.
Right.
So we're just totally out of alignment with what's possible. Like we should create intentions that are far out of reach, yet that we know that somewhat we can reach them.
Right.
It's a very fine line.
Right, and I totally believe that. I believe in setting realistic goals. It's okay to dream and imagine, but if you're going to imagine something, set a realistic approach to getting there. Everybody can't win.
But something that juices you up, something that is big enough that really juices you up, but not something that you're going to put yourself to fail. Start with something that feels great. And I know for me, I said from the beginning, 6 years ago, I said I will empower millions of people daily. And I didn't know where that was coming from, but that just felt good and right. Mm-hmm. And I just let it be. I haven't been obsessed with it or anything like that. I just let it be and let it unfold.
Mm-hmm. So for those that are listening, and if you're a pastor and you're listening, if you are over an organization, if you're in the marketplace, if you're a painter, an artist, whatever you're doing where you're allowing the creative energy or God, or the universe to flow through you, create realistic goals for yourself, set an intention, add some juice to it, make sure your intention excites you a bit, and then take these expectations off and just let the work be.
And feel how fun it is to have that. Oh my goodness, bring some emotions to it. Just imagine it, live it already, and be infused by it, and see all the synchronicities in your life bringing you closer to that. And if it's not exactly that, if it doesn't feel right and you're not juiced up anymore about it, change it.
Right, change it.
Big deal. Have fun.
Yeah, I agree, because that's another part of the conversation. People will feel like, hey, I'm worried that I don't want to seem like I'm jumpy, like I'm bouncing from one thing to the next. And one of the things that I've realized is that when you look back, hindsight is always 20/20. When you look back, you'll see that it all had a cohesiveness about it. It all kind of stuck together, and it all made sense in the end because it was all necessary, So you're doing one thing now, and if you lose the juice with that and you move on to another intention, that first intention served its purpose and catapulted you to the next. And I'm speaking metaphorically, but I want all the listeners that are hearing this to really get the conversation because this is good stuff. That intention or that project that you were working on before, if it didn't grow out to be what you expected, it served its purpose, and it was still a necessary part of your process of unfoldment.
All is perfect, yeah. All is well. Everything that is happening to us is happening at the right time.
Right.
All the time.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about your book. You published a book. We were talking off air. What was it? I Made No Money and I Like It. Tell us about that book.
Well, the book is following the first book. So after losing my job, then I wrote a book, and I invested some money in putting this book together and putting it out. And I had some deceptions. I mean, some things didn't work out exactly as I would imagine. But I was imagining. But in the end, I just found myself with no more money. And I was living in London, and so I had to just move and go back to my parents. And that was a very humbling experience, I would say. And I would just cry all the time and feeling really quite bad. And I had ups and downs. It would just be big waves, but in the end, I had those long walks in nature, and I remember having those conversations too with friends and starting to feel my heart cracking open again. And I realized that what was blocking my abundance and life, it was because my heart was closed and I was still afraid to love, and I was protecting myself and this and that, and I was not letting love really in. I didn't know really what love was, or I had a sense of it, but it was not really going through. And all that experience, that's why the second book is called The Abundance Journey of an Open Heart, because from all that time back in London and after that in France in 2009, my perspective on the world and on me changed. And I start viewing it from a heart perspective and not from a head, mental, analytical place. And a lot of things since then have healed and have come together, and effortlessness. I started to do more and more interviews, and some were paid. I was doing some interviews for some publishers, and I started really living 100% my purpose. So I wrote the second book, and then I went on this Juicy Living tour journey for a year, supported by donations of viewers, and I traveled throughout Canada and the U.S. and Mexico for a year, and now I'm doing this throughout Europe and possibly next in Asia, and just there's no more limit, and there's no more end, and it's not anymore a world, and I feel this is part of the shift that we're all living, is going from an old paradigm, one where competition and fear and hate and all of that is in, to one that is more into oneness. Oneness may be a big word, but into connectiveness, connection with nature, into unity, into the love. And it's a love shift paradigm. It's viewing life through the eyes of the Creator, as a creator.
We have to take a quick commercial break on that note. Folks, hang on in there. I'm Jesse Herriott having a wonderful conversation with Lelu Mace. We have to take a small commercial break, but we'll be right back. Stay tuned.
He's the most talked about figure in history. How do you see Jesus? As a savior, a way shower, a mythical hero? In his cutting-edge new book, Jesus 2.1, an upgrade for the 21st century, Reverend Dr. Thomas Shepard explores the many human concepts of Jesus.
The man of Nazareth has been an imaginary spiritual playmate for millions. Best friend, confidant, silent lover, surrogate father, brother, husband, trusted king when earthly governments fail, all-purpose superhero who will save the day before the final credits roll. Jesus is like a program that has been adapted through the ages while the basic code remains undisturbed despite all subsequent modifications. Now it is our time to rewrite and reinstall the Jesus program with updates for today, just as every previous generation has done and every subsequent generation will do. The Romans killed Jesus for being a revolutionary. Every succeeding generation kills him anew by losing sight of the ongoing revolution in human consciousness that he represents.
Explore the new book, Jesus 2.1, at www.shopunity.org.
Have you ever considered that everything you think and say is a prayer to the universe? Are you sending a positive or negative message? Join Reverend Beverly Molander and her guest on Affirmative Prayer, Activating the Power of Yes, to find out how you can activate your own power of yes. Using affirmative prayer, or positive intention, can make a big difference in the way you think, feel, and live. If you want help moving from chaos to clarity in relationships, health, prosperity, or work, this is the place for you. We'll have some how-to suggestions about how you can say yes more often from this point forward. Talk with Beverly Molander and her guest live every Monday at noon Central or 1 p.m. Eastern. Affirmative Prayer, Activating the Power of Yes. Only on Unity Online Radio, the voice of an awakening world.
You've been listening to Living on Purpose, where psychology meets spirituality. Now, here is your host, Jesse Herriott.
And we're back. We're in the last segment. And if you missed the first halves of the show, you can definitely go back and download it. Just log on to www.unity.fm and click on Living on Purpose. It's under the program archives or program directory. You can download the show. It'll be available after 6 p.m. Eastern Time this evening when after the engineers mix it down. Also, for those that are listening and you have a compatible mobile device, you can download the Stitcher apps, or is it Live 365, and you can download these apps so that you can listen to the program and listen to all of the wonderful shows that are on the network. You can listen to it as you go, and all of the episodes are free, so you can download all of our archives for free to kind of sort of take you, from one place to the next as you're fulfilling your vocation and your calling. You can have this wonderful message to take along with you. So, Lilou, we're having an amazing conversation. I want to jump into your interviews. You've interviewed guests, from all over the world. You're such an inspiration to me. But what were some of the central themes of all of the teachers? What are all of them talking about? If you can kind of synthesize their work, and then some of the lessons that you've learned, from all of these great teachers.
Yeah, well, we hear what we want to hear, what we're ready to hear, so there is probably a lot of things I'm missing and all of that, but what I'm really hearing is living with an open heart. Yes. To live with an open heart, to what we were talking in previously in your show, that abundance is everywhere, and that we need to now live in the present moments, and these are extraordinary times that we can really let go of some things from the past. It's not like we were born a certain way and we'll be that way for the rest of our lives. We have the capacity to transform easily and effortlessly. We're really the one that are limiting ourselves from transforming fast and quick. I'm really learning also through those interviews to co-create and call forth for co-creation. I've always setting intention, as we talked about, and declare and ask for help, and just continuously throughout the day kind of create with the universe a bit more than just if it was happening to us. Like, we need to be a bit more active at creating with it, and participate, but these are really cool times where a lot of people talk about the end of the world in 2011, but it's really the end of one aspect, I would say, of ourselves that need to let go, so we can become and activate a higher self within us. So it's an own internal revolution that is happening, and a lot of us are going through some hard times, or some things are coming up that we thought were gone, but they're coming back up. And we have the chance. We don't need to live the way that we were brought up and how our parents taught us. We're going to suffer otherwise, and a lot of people are going to suffer if we get stuck in this old way, in this old paradigm.
I totally agree. It's like the world is dealing with its collective shadow, and it's like all of those things that we've suppressed for so long, they're coming back up. And it's a necessary process. It's like in alchemy. You have, evolution, but you also have involution. You have both ends of the spectrum, and you go from one end to the next. The key is learning how to live kind of sort of in between, to kind of find that middle path, to borrow from Buddha. Find that middle path and deal with all of these necessary things that are going on, because they are necessary for our own growth and for our own evolution. It makes us a better vessel for the universe to kind of come through, with clarity and with precision and with insight to co-create, So I want to talk about I saw something on your website. We're talking about spirituality and spiritual teachers and things like that. You mentioned in a previous blast, and I was talking off air about it. You were giving insights as to some of the things that the newcomers and some of the other veterans should look out for, because you mentioned that you talked about the human side of our whole spirituality. Spirituality isn't about, taking on this Superman complex. It's really learning how to see the divine within the human scene, being fully human, and that's how we create the space to allow the divine to come and pass through us. It's not about escaping our humanity. You talked about some real things and real issues within the whole spiritual movement. Could you tell us a bit about that?
Yes, because as you know, I've been traveling and interviewing many people and meeting a lot of people, from the New York Times to people that are just coming out and teaching, and I've been disappointed. I've been terribly disappointed throughout the past 12 years. And there's some things that I want to share, and there's more things I want to share in the future. Things that are happening, and things that I'm sad about, and that are impacting in a negative way what some people can see the spiritual movement or the personal development and all of that consciousness to be about. And I think there's some cleanup that needs to be done. Some people that needs to be clean. Some people that have to stop abusing other people mentally, or take their money. There's some people that are charging way, way, way too much in this. And I personally was saying in this video that there's no need to spend any money at all. Actually, life is presenting a lot of different opportunities, but some people choose to do seminars, but some are charging way too much, and some people in some seminars are tapped on the shoulder and saying, "Oh, you're special one." But, and you're invited to the special thing, but then to continue, please pay $6,000 or something. There's some people that are presenting themselves as incarnated special ones on Earth. And to me, and that's what the Juicy Tour is about, and those interviews, the tagline is everyday inspiration from everyday people.
Right.
We're all bringing a piece in this puzzle. It's not anymore about the guru and the special one and this and that. We're all very special, and frankly, we all have something to share.
Right.
And it's disappointing at times, and at the same time I'm very grateful to see it clearly and to have the guts to share it. I know some people are going to recognize themselves within that video and are not going to be happy to see it. It's going to piss off some, but it's really ultimately to say, let's listen to our inner voice, let's listen to that quiet voice inside and do what feels right. If there is pressure, like you have a limited time to purchase this thing and come to a free thing, but then let's stop those old marketing techniques that are just really, honestly, we deserve all much better than that.
Right.
And my French passionate side now is really kicking in.
But you know what, Lilou? I stand with you. There are others, too. One of my colleagues just had a show. He was talking about the guru complex. Michaels. He's on the network as well. But I stand along with you because I've seen some of the same things. And like you talked about, living with an open heart, and not bringing the old paradigm into this way, not bringing the competition and the capitalistic mindset and trying to dominate and control and make, I hate to say, this thing of ours, but, make the whole consciousness movement about money, because that's not what it's about. I understand people have to make a living, but there's a fine balance in between, because what you will start doing is you'll start catering your message for a small percentage of the people, and the everyday ordinary person, which is who we talk to, be left out. And the universe isn't like that. It's expansive, it's loving, it's affirming, it's life-giving, and there should be opportunities for all. But I do see some of the same from some, these marketing tricks and these games that they play, with the minds to try and get money. And it's not right. It's not of the heart.
No, and it's not where there's the juice, it's not where the good stuff is anyway, because they're not teaching the right stuff then anyway in those seminars. Some of them have good content, but most of the time, and the most lovely people I've interviewed were not asking for anything, really. And I'm not saying this is the way. It was their way, but they were just very humble and grateful, and you just know in their presence it feels so good. And they're approachable. Usually you just can come to them. They feel ordinary, and yet they're extraordinary.
Right. Right.
And that's what's beautiful. And usually, our grandparents, one of our grandparents can be like that, a person in the street. There's so many life lessons and beautiful things that happen to life easily if we want them to, and if we're open to them, that we don't really need those huge seminars that will maybe transform us. We can do it.
Right, that's true, and it is. I mean, you can find this inspiration. There are books everywhere. As you begin to grow and evolve, and you see life a certain way, you start to find inspiration everywhere. And if you pay attention, and then you kind of remove that whole classism mindset, that old paradigm, and just because a person is working at a corner store doesn't mean you can't get inspiration from their conversation because they don't have on, they're not dressed in all white and there's wonderful music playing in the background, So I totally understand where you're coming from. And I think that all of us in the whole movement need to remember that some of the basic tenets of what we're talking about, love and affirming and things like that. I think by holding on to that awareness, it keeps all of us humble. Because again, there's a lot of light on the spirituality human potential movement now. It's really becoming commercialized. And that's okay. It's for the world, but at the same time, if you lose some of the foundational elements of your teaching, it really does kind of sort of pull you out, from what it was you were talking about in the beginning. It takes you away from your core message. Yeah.
And so ultimately it's about listening to and doing what feels right. And and sometimes it's about doing less, but just listening, observing, being. And sometimes in life there's those quiet times, and we try to do things, fill it up with things to do. But no, there's those quieter moments, and then there's those moments where we need a lot of energy. So let's trust more life and ourselves, and let things come naturally while co-creating with it. So it's all about this balance and this flow, this natural flow of life. And I think life can be much easier and less complex and more natural.
I totally agree. Well, this has been a wonderful conversation, Lilou. I believe we're all out of time. Real quick, how can others get a hold of your work or follow your work?
Through, a bit everywhere on the internet, because I post a lot on my YouTube channel, on the youtube.com/Lilou Mace, LILOUMACE, and then those are added onto different websites like the JuicyLivingTour.com or LilouMace.com. And then I also post a lot quite on Facebook. I have several pages there.
Your name is spelled LILOUMACE.com for those of you that are trying to access the website. Well, thanks again for joining us, Lilou. We wish you continued success, and I'll definitely be tuning into your online series to get my quick pick-me-ups and, my spiritual nutrients for the week.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It was great fun.
It was fun. Thank you so much, listeners. On next week, we have the wonderful Laura Mayer, author of Unblocking the Invisible Child. She'll be joining us to discuss her latest book and her own testimony on healing and wholeness. That's our show for this week. Thanks for tuning in to Living on Purpose at Unity.fm radio. Peace and love.